Davidson, Shirley, Papanui Community Board. Another succinct submission.
Thank you. First, I'd just like to acknowledge staff for their great work they've done on this process. I don't want to concentrate too much on the council wards. We do support the 16, but obviously our interest, I guess, is in the community boards themselves. We feel that having 3 wards connected to make a community board is too large. When you look at our current ward, Shirley, Papanui, going out to be Central, Marshall and Papanui, we're stretching them from Morehouse Ave right out to the Waimak River. That's a huge area. And we just don't feel it's right. One of the problems we've also got with obviously the increase of councillors, it seems to be at a cost to the elected community board members and community boards, which we do not support at all. Our proposal would be actually to reduce it from 3 wards to 2, currently pretty much what we've got at the moment, and increase the number of elected community board members, because we would feel that would be 4 elected community board members in those 2 wards wouldn't be enough, so we'd want a minimum of 5. If it was 5, obviously they'd have to be elected at large. Obviously, possibly you could go up to 3 from each ward if you wanted them elected in the wards individually. So that's sort of where we stand. There's a couple of issues, obviously, which I've heard about around the boundaries, especially around the historic Papanui area. Got some concerns up around the edge of McLean's, above Sawyer's Arms. We feel that there's more associated to the Herwood, which could help with the boundary changes to get the historic Papanui area back in there. Pretty much, that's it. Another thing also, we don't really support having suburbs as the names of the wards. When you look at Papanui, there's a lot more suburbs in there than just Papanui. So Central's a good name, Coastal's a good name. You know, Shirley, Papanui, we're completely losing Shirley from our ward, and there's a lot of upset people with that. So when you're keeping Papanui in there, it just doesn't quite ring fair.
Very good. That's very interesting. Pauline?
Yes, can I just ask a question? And might have to answer this from a personal opinion, but we've had a submitter querying the boundaries on the northern boundary of the proposed central ward, which is currently, I think, Westminster, and requesting that move up to Innis to include Melbourne Park and the suburban suburb and the central. Do you have an opinion about that? Yeah,
I guess as someone that's obviously lived in St Albans for a long time, I do feel that St Albans, or the central boundary, is probably a street too not north enough, so it would need to go up to Innes Road, especially when you hear all this talk about moving central away from Papanui Marshlands and put it into Woolston, Linwood. If you do that and you keep the ward as it's proposed now, you're splitting St Albans again, and the top part of St Albans will not move with it. So that is of concern.
Yeah. Bill?
Mike, I've asked some of the other board chairs this question. It's especially to get the mix for the community boards right. Would you be in agreement if the council was to recommend an additional community board for the metropolitan part of the city?
Yeah, most definitely. And I think obviously Banksman creates a few extra issues. When you look at the 16 council wards, it would be great if you could just say, hey, let's make 8 community boards from those 16s. It's not that simple, but definitely another metropolitan community board I think is required in there. There's just, the numbers aren't quite right, and I don't think it's fair representation for the elected community board members.
Yeah. Thanks, Mike.
Okay, David?
The proposals before us advocate a coastal ward and connecting right along the coast, which means part of the existing Shirley Papanui ward in the northern part would move to a coastal ward. What are your thoughts on that connectivity?
I think that's a natural place for actual Spencerville to be, along with the coastal areas of Brighton. So obviously they do have connections with areas further inland with the Styx River, but when we're looking at creating boundary changes, I think it becomes a natural border along that water.
Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other No. Obviously, you're comfortable with the proposals that Pendleton Waimairi put up around some of the boundary changes that would enable the, Papanui RSA to remain in the Papanui side of things?
I will say yes, but I wasn't listening to what Val was saying. So. But I'm sure it was smart. So.
I think that their existing boundary is Condo Ave, and what that does is it keeps that little chunk of, from Blythes Road up to Harewood Road. I think it keeps that within the Papanui side of things. But I think there's a bit of a quid pro quo around Maryvale Precinct Society, but I haven't seen what their specific boundaries are, but I think they cross Papanui Road into Maryvale.
Yeah, but the thing is that the proposal was going to take out some of the businesses in Papanui as well, wasn't it, and put them into Pendleton Waimairi, and they've got quite a strong business association, and they fed back to us that they did not want that to happen. So.
Right.
It definitely needs to, in our opinion, it definitely needs to be altered to get the whole of that area of Papanui back into the proposed Papanui ward.
Yeah. So, but what happens at the Maryvale end? Because essentially, the way it is at the moment with the boundary down Papanui Road, you've got a split on both sides of the Maryvale shopping centre, and one's in your ward and one's in.
Yeah, which is not what it's currently.
No.
Like.
No,
So you think that there is potential for alignment around the Maryvale area to keep that distinctly together while we create a bit of a dog leg down the other end as well.
So you could come in a block to get that business area in there. Because, there's a bit of merging between Maryvale and St Albans, and like we've heard a lot, the real estate agents obviously creating this change of suburb names.
Well, it used to be called St Albans when I was young.
Yeah, well, I lived in Tomes Road for a while, and we still called it St Albans, and people call it Papanui. It really depends on what you associate yourself with. So, but I think you could possibly move that block out for Maryvale out to probably is it Browns Road, and come down there to capture those.
So that would be in Pendleton Waimairi. Well, with the new Pendleton ward. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thank you very much. That's very helpful. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.